which I want to start first with this one, mainly so that the entire stream is not me just agreeing with the very cogent things you say.
Give me a left field. Give me something dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Say something ignorant. Do I think this deserves to be in a bracket? Oh, you already did it. Great. Yeah. Stinky doo-doo.
I already put
Thank
in
God.
stinky doo-doo. Don't do this, Joe. I fully typed Boros Sephiroth into Scryroll, but it's Boros Sephiroth. So what Deathcat and I are doing today is they had a very interesting idea about how most archetypes in Magic have different brackets now with what? Hold on, I'm trying to make them. Okay, now we are two equally sized white men.
You're piecing together a sentence. I'm excited for it.
I'm working on it. I'm doing my Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Anyway, different archetypes in Magic, they can be played across multiple brackets. Many archetypes have a bracket they're most at home in. Like certain archetypes, if you tried to do a bracket 1 combo deck, you're probably going to have a harder time than doing this at bracket 4, so on and so forth. So what we are going to do as a service to the community, and definitely not as a way to farm sweet YouTube views, is we are going to make a ad hoc tier list of where we think each archetype is happiest in the bracket system.
Yeah, and let's define this for a moment. I almost want to say that we're trying to put these archetypes in the place that they function the best. Like, you are going to have the most fun playing it within this bracket. Not even that it's the strongest, it's just you are given the tools within this bracket to have fun, and what other people are doing isn't gonna like absolutely just like out of nowhere you stood up and have no iron in your body and have like flatlined on the floor. Like, we don't want it to feel like every other deck is constantly making you feel bad.
Yeah, what bracket will you get to feel like, wow, I've done the thing feels like what I said it was when I built this deck? Because sometimes you get decks where, oh, I want to do, here, we'll just spoil how I feel about mill. You go like, oh, I want to do a mill deck. And before, maybe like 2 years ago, when Mill started getting more tools, your real only option was like, oh, I'm going to do Bruvac combo, or I'm going to do Bruvac persistent petitioners. And you do that, and then it's like, well, you make a bracket 2 or even a bracket 3 Mill deck, and everyone's like, okay, you're a liar, and you smell faintly of piss, because you're really just a combo deck in a trench coat. And so Mill's specific situation has changed, but that's going to be what we're talking about. Like, what brackets where, you can technically take it to bracket 4, technically take it to bracket 2, but it's not gonna feel right if you do. So first, let's just start at the top. Combat-oriented archetypes. We'll go with Stompy. Big, aggressive creatures that hit hard and fast, often with trample or haste. Where do you think this goes?
Well, let's talk about the commanders that are in it. We got Galta, we got Xenagos.
Let's pad this out.
It's a lot of dino decks, right?
Right. It's mostly
what
dinosaurs.
Else really plays big Stompy?
I mean, so here's actually a meaningful distinction is I think the dragon players would play Stompy if they did not feel so insecure that they had to turn to combo. I think there's plenty of Stompy decks that could be dragon decks, except every fucking player looked at Terror of the Peaks and was like, what if I won without swinging? And then they went.
The thing. I feel like dragon players were dino players that showed up to the Olympics and realized everyone else was roided and were like, oh crap, I gotta step this up.
Dude, roids, they're the ones who showed up to the Olympics and was like, oh fuck, other people worked out. Other people trained for this shit. I showed up with dad's money and a dream.
Yeah, I mean, in general, Stompy loses to what? It loses to like people having half the mind to play removal and
people being awake.
Yes, the attentiveness of the table. I mean, if I'm playing bracket 2, I'm probably drunk. I think the best place for Stompy to exist, where it's going to be enjoyed the most, is actually bracket 2, because once you get into bracket 3, you're going to be stopped so much more often. People are going to be way more acknowledging of what you're doing, and like, you may be able to make the deck a bit stronger, but like, Stompy doesn't need those 3 game changers to be fun and be good and be fast enough. Bracket 2's just fine for that. And then on top of all that, you know, it feels like less of a race, because in bracket 3 there's combo, man, and now it feels like you're somewhat playing like you're trying to be aggro but also Stompy. Like in bracket 2, no one's ending the game turn 5 and 6, and that's when you get to start going creature, and you just really
Yeah.
start to slam.
I'm going to take this one step further and say not only do I think most Stompy players would be happier in 2, I think most Stompy players have been bullied into 3 by their tables engaging in arms races. Because I had somebody ask me for advice with a friend that they loved and used to love playing Magic with, and they said we've been getting in more and more arguments because they really don't like my decks. They think my decks are too powerful. And I looked at it and it was a Stompy list, and I was like, okay, I play tested this, and some curve outs look fine, but a lot of this deck looks like it is meant to either Defense of the Heart or speed ramp into a Tali and then like high roll a Tali into a bunch of free creatures. And he was like, oh yeah, but if I don't do that, how could I keep up with anything? Because the thing I suggested to him was, well, what if you gave yourself a rule of I can only achieve creatures by spending mana to cast them from hand? I think if you did that, that would slow your deck down. And he was like, okay, yeah, but if I did that, I would lose every game of Magic I played from now until the end of time. And that, I think, is the like quintessential story in my head of how the Stompy players should be in 2, but many of them got bullied out of it and are now like, well, I'm playing Stompy, but it has to be I tap 4 mana to get 3 free creatures that are in total worth 30 mana, because if I don't do that, then the dumbass Quain player is going to just win next turn without ever touching my life total. But I think most of the things they want to play, I think they yearn for the fields of I play a Llanowar Elf turn 1, and then by like turn 5, I just play a big dinosaur.
And that's where you get to be free. It's like going all natural.
Just look at the flowers, man.
It's a good feeling.
Just look at the pretty flowers. Let the rest of us worry about that second sun that is approaching ominously. Next, we're going to do Voltron. Focus on one creature with equipment, auras, or counters to hit lethal commander damage.
I actually had a big change of heart in between when I wrote this list and the stream. I played against Joel from Joel is Magic. Previously, Jake and Joel are Magic. We were jamming it up, playing some games, and he brought the new Cloud that does the crazy triggers with equipment, as well as the one that allows him to draw cards on hit. And we were playing bracket 3, and he had built his Voltron like actually responsibly. He had interaction. He had things that weren't just about the commander, and a central game plan was landing protection first. It wasn't just power him up and get upset when it's gone, but it also wasn't to the point where we just couldn't interact with it and it was swinging out and beating everyone. I ended up using Uyo Silent Prophet to copy a destroy artifact spell 5 times to kill every single enchantment and artifact he had on the commander, and I ended up blowing all my lands back in my hand in the process just to not die. And that was really fun, and it felt like the bracket 3 high octane kind of feel worked well, because the second someone looked like they were going to combo, we just had Ed over here with a shovel ready to beat his head in and scare him half to death and go, I won't combo. It was beautiful. I loved it.
I am going to agree with this one too. I've long held the stance that most Voltron decks should actually be Stax decks in disguise, because there is no amount of fast you can go to solve the problem of killing one person and then falling over. And so if you can't do that, it behooves you to try to slow the entire table down such that you can then win on the ground again. And I think once you get into bracket 4 and you get into CEDH, the combos become too fast for you to really have a hope, unless you're doing like Dargo but bad and you just do all in on stacks and then beat people to death with Dargo. But I do agree that Voltron benefits from having much better cards, much better interaction, and using good stacks pieces, which don't really become socially acceptable until bracket 3 and above. Because then you can politic. Only being able to kill one person at a time is a massive detriment to politicking in bracket 2, and it's a massive boon in bracket 3 because of what you said. As soon as somebody looks like they're about to win, they all go, Joey, put the toes on them. And then they're like, now not everybody's not trying to blow you out because they probably built a good deck, for lack of a better term. There's like, I can deal with you when you are my problem, but right now you are not my problem. You are the Ristic Study player's problem, which is actually an interesting dynamic to create. None of this would be possible without support from our highest tier Patreon members, so please join me and Little Nadu as we take a moment to thank Badger King, Sussedin, Christian B, Ryan A, Adam S, Solar Movie, Biggest Dickus, Kyle, Jess HW, Alpha Dog 2064, Crimson Viper, Zelenor, Otterfire, Dad Out for Milk, Kyler P, Bolus Brigade, Derek H, Phelan, B Leave, Dungeon Masters Consortium, Zach G, Bobby Joe Lord, Talamar Von Geist, Troper and their 37 different identities, Bradley T, Bo, Beefcake, and Silky Wilkie. Thank you all and enjoy the video. Hi everybody, welcome to the Mango Money Moment, a new segment that exists only because YouTube has told us that if their automatic mid-roll placer doesn't believe that my video has enough dead air in it to constitute a transitional phase, they will not put monetized ads in the middle, which can really cut into the editor's leak budget. So we're gonna have these moments where we just stop and stare for a little bit. So next is Go Wide Tokens, which I want to start first with this one, mainly so that the entire stream is not me just agreeing with the very cogent things you say. So
give me a left field. Give me something dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Say something ignorant.
Go Wide Tokens. You flood the board with tokens and you overwhelm the opponents through numbers. This one is the first one that I think bridges a little. I think a lot of the really dumb toys like Doubling Season, if you are not playing that in bracket 2, you're probably getting hosed for it. However, a lot of token decks do want to start using free interaction or board wide protection. Because if you don't, you just get blown out fucking instantly. Everybody's keeping Toxic Deluge strapped to their fucking thigh. So I'm actually going to say that like doing the thing the most is bracket 2. If you want to participate in the competition of Commander, it's bracket 3. It depends on how much you want to win and how much you want to count to a really high number before you lose terribly.
I want you to tell me what token doublers are on the Game Changer list.
None. Those aren't the game changers. I think the token decks are benefiting from the game changer Teferi's protection. I think they're running a Simic token deck and taking Fierce Guardian. You're using it to not like, I got my super wide board of tokens. What do you mean, Wrath of God? Like that's what that's the bracket 3 part of tokens, to be able to actually leverage the tokens into winning a game is once anybody else is bringing the board wipe with your name on it, you benefit from going bracket 3 to be able to hold the army together. But if you just want a big army and you don't care what happens to the big army after you get it, bracket 2 is your home.
Yeah, I think it's on the basis of your play group, because some play groups are gonna be unable to handle it at bracket 2 because they're big dum-dums and do not know how to like ever pack removal. And
hey, look at this guy.
Even stronger.
Didn't bring Languish.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking idiot. Left his copy of Languish at home. Let's go to Aristocrats. Tell me about Aristocrats.
This one, I think this one's going to be hard to place. I think this is going to be one of the most difficult on the whole list, honestly. I'm going to ask you some questions so you can, I'm going to alley-oop you here.
This is perfect because I have very strong opinions about where it should be.
Okay, good. So, allegedly, there was a rap Aristocrats used to get as a little bit of a hater deck archetype. Like, people who played it were a little edgy, a little intense about the game. They liked to goldfish, you know, and sit there on their board and be like, well, now that I've sacrificed this, that I've surveilled, and now I get to trigger this. And like, you just sit there and you're at a seminar for someone's My Chemical Romance fanfic, it felt like half the time. And I'm trying to understand what your view is of Aristocrats as someone who played Magic thoroughly through the pandemic with people you actually liked, rather than suffering the LGS sweat wrap.
Well, that's easy. Nobody I like played Aristocrats. Even Z will use Aristocrat pieces for like Mardu Crash Out Aristocrats. I think they've been getting Mardu Aristocrats has gotten a glow up for at least utilizing the combat step. And so my really strong feeling is in stone, I think they are happiest at bracket 3 for a very specific reason. I think they actually function the best at bracket 4 because almost all of them want to go into infinite loop behavior, and I think they have better tools to do that at bracket 4. The difference for me is that if you want to care about your commander, that stops happening at bracket 4 because your commander becomes faceless sack outlet or faceless drain effect. Like, oh, you have a
Yes.
bracket 4 Sephiroth deck? No, you fucking don't. You have a bracket 4 Aristocrats deck, and Sephiroth is just the name you scribbled on the life loss effect.
I think Aristocrats has a bottom floor of bracket 3. I think once you get down to bracket 2, you aren't doing enough for it to be even worth playing. There's more fun to be had down there in bracket 2. But I disagree with it ever being bracket 4 because I don't hear me out. Once you have taken a Honda's engine out and put in a Corvette's, that's not a Honda anymore. Don't give me that shit. Like, that thing is motherfucking Frankenstein and it's horrifying. I'm not racing that. That's not a sleeper car. That thing's blackout drunk. Aristocrats are the same way, like you said. Now it's just this faceless, horrifying automaton of power, and then you're disguising a leveraged combo deck that likes to like stab itself to find its pieces.
Let's go to one that is not going to be touching CEDH in a real way. Reanimator, which is cheating massive creatures into play from the graveyard. All of you fucking Celeste copers, I'm talking to you right now.
There was a time in CDH where Reanimator, or as it was called, Razakats, at the time we liked Razaketh, Reanimator, was a top tier strategy, and that was pre-Thoracle. Now you do not hear of it. I have said the term Razakats to Critical EDH. They're a great new channel. They do awesome CDH podcast. Love those guys. And I said Razakats to them, and they're like, "What's that?" And I just felt the age. I just felt my skin deteriorating. So yeah, I agree. This isn't touching CDH.
Right, and I think it's like the things that you would call, it has the same issue of this really just blends into combo, because you can do things from the graveyard that are going to win you the game in CEDH, but you're doing like a persist loop. Nobody's going to be like, this is the same thing as a Reanimator deck that seeks to bring back Valgavoth on turn 3.
Yeah. And that's where I would say I'm gonna lead us down a road here. I think the most fun I've ever had playing Reanimator is bracket 2, because it does not feel like I am threatening my opponents to pull out some BS instantly win the game combo piece. More, I'm slamming a Titan, I'm slamming big dragon, I'm slamming big cool creature that goes toe to toe with the Galta coming at me. And often the cards at bracket 2 that do reanimation are symmetrical, and it's fun for everyone, like Exhume.
I mean, you're smoking crack on Exhume, but I agree with you in general, because I love reanimating with my Hensi deck, and every time I have done it at a bracket 3 table, because that deck has kind of run the gamut over a number of edits, every time I have done it at a bracket 3 table, I'm just like, fuck, man, I should have just ramped. What am I doing? Nobody cared. Like, this thing at bracket 3, it's like, haha, I got a 9/9 for 1 mana. Everyone's like, oh, cool, whatever. Anyway, here's Gearson Starn. Bang, bang, bang. Reanimator is stompy, but I don't want to use my lands for it. It's stompy, but I want to use Reanimate to pay for it rather than 9 actual mana.
Yeah.
And I think for that reason, fits in with stompy very well. Okay, next, I'm gonna throw you Super Friends. I want to see how you feel about Super Friends.
I have a horrible history with this. You are in the confession box for me at the moment. I'm gonna bear something bad. I have destroyed at least 2 play groups, including one with my shop owner playing this thing. I built the Carthalion version, the Golgari version of this deck, where you get to get more Super Friends back as they die. And very sadly, I was playing against my shop owner, and I decided to go Super Friends stack with this. And I played a Winter Orb while having my Super Friends slamming. And they could not do anything, and my planeswalkers were all about resource denial. It was awful. I was a degenerate. I played this the week it came out. Cut to next week, my shop owner brings a triple sleeved, fully foiled out, like $8,000 Atraxa list, Super Friends, and just steamrolls my ass. He had a what's the one where if you have to pay 1 mana to keep your creatures alive? The horrible land.
Tabernacle.
Yeah, he bought a Tabernacle just to play that. It was rough, but do I think this deserves to be in a bracket? Oh, you already did it. Great. Yeah, Stinky Doo Doo.
I already put in Stinky Doo Doo. Don't fucking do this, Jill. I think your story's perfect for that. I think if I were to force it into a bracket, I would say Super Friends is really non-deterministic Storm, but worse. Like
Yes.
it is almost as vulnerable as Voltron decks are because you can swing into them. And so, like your Carthalion deck, they benefit heavily from doing a stack strategy because that's the only way to hold the table down enough that your Super Friends actually get to go off. Like imagine if every Izzet deck was trying to win, but like all the gutter snipe effects, so like gutter snipe VV, instead of just saying you damage a player, it said like go run a mile and then try to solve the nearest 8th grader's math homework, and if you get above a 90%, then we deal 2 damage. Like that's how winning with Planeswalkers feels, unless you have the Chain Veil infinite combo effect ready to go. Oh my god, you're right. I just remembered a deck I looked at was a Oops All Chandra deck, and it was the only Planeswalker deck I ever had fun playtesting. And I was trying to like help make it better, and I was like, we literally can't. This is awful. This is awful and terrible, but it doesn't kill me. It doesn't kill me inside. So yeah, I'll actually agree. Bracket 1 is the best one for Planeswalkers. You pick one, Defcat. You pick one.
I was about to say, I'm picking one.
Yeah.
Come out of my mouth. I want to talk about Kindred.
Of course you do.
This is the one I thought the most about, because I think we could talk for days if I'm not careful.
About how much I hate elves.
Yes. Elves, rooftop storm zombies, Morathon, oops, all Kindred. Look, Kindred decks, and I've never met someone who built a Kindred deck that I respect their deck building skills. I've never looked upon someone who has decided to build a Kindred deck and gone, wow, this is unique, ever. Unless it's about the art, in which that case there's no mechanical kindredness. Well, it doesn't even work the way it's supposed to.
I refuse to accept Kindred as an actual theme. I think Kindred is a fake theme.
Delete it.
We have labeled things as a holdover from the really old days of Magic, because if you do Kindred, your archetype is picked for you and is also different depending on what Kindred you did. Like, did you do Bird Kindred? Your archetype is losing the game. Did you do Elves? You're either doing Stompy or Combo depending on how many elf cards you've seen in your life. Did you do Merfolk? You're probably in like tokens or counters. I don't. It's just not. There's just nothing there. It's all fat.
They all fall under the same hole of how can I put out as many of the creatures within this Kindred archetype onto the battlefield as possible, and it's just a race. And then eventually they become combo decks, and they're all just these boring engines for the same ends to the same means. And I've never looked at a Kindred deck that is doing something unique. The zombie list, the dragon list, the elf list, they're all doing the same damn thing. They're just trying to puke out the most of the same creature the fastest, and or combo with them at the higher tiers. And there's some that have redeeming qualities of this, where they are, I think, vampires, honestly, which is insane that I have been saying this, honestly, looking at this at a whole, but like vampires actually say on the card, sacrifice a vampire or tap a vampire or play a vampire and blank happens. And they're these specific, non-generic, cool vampire tropey things that actually happen, versus everything else just says this creature type costs less, this creature type is bigger, this creature type gets haste. Like it's just these generic bannering effects.
So I'm gonna lock in easy bracket 4 for Kindred then. Yeah, definitely. What do you want next?
Ooh, life gain, life drain.
These gotta be different. You can't look Hove Estheim in the face and tell me life gain, life drain are the same archetype.
I am about to tell you why.
Oh no.
Okay.
Life gain, life drain.
Once upon a time, there was something called Neopets. Neopets had a website in which you could play small little games and earn points, and then buy cards and plushies of those Neopets.
Right.
Along the same lines in the East Coast, the more richer families that could afford it bought Webkins that did the exact fucking thing. And they were more expensive, and I could only afford Neopets. And I remember enjoying sitting around playing with my Neopets, thinking, wow, I'm building up fun, unique things. While the others went, I have useful plushies that connect to the website.
Uh-huh.
Life gain doesn't win you the game. Life drain wins you the game. But they both do the same damn thing. It's just one was statistically better than the other in the long term as an investment for your parents, and they should have listened to you. And so, what I'm really trying to say here is that they play the same. You are both finding cards that say the word life something on it, and then you are archetyping around that. It's just you're going to be using the life in a different way.
I agree with that, but I think the part of your sentence using that life in a different way is broader than you. I think you play Magic that's too good to appreciate the subtle nuances in the head empty bracket 2 gameplay that I enjoy. And I will say this is a very recent thing. I do not have many examples in mind, but I think Wizards has noticed that life gain is a horrible standalone thing, that it is a boring pillow forty nonsense strategy that was only good before they started designing for Commander and printing things that could deal large amounts of damage to multiple people, or any equipment that had trample. And so recently, we've seen commanders like Baitor, we have seen commanders like Hope. We are getting more things where life gain is this thing tacked on to an entirely different strategy. Like Baitor is a kind of like go medium. You want to go a little bit wide to put counters on your shit with the life gain. Hope is using it to mill people. I think we're going to get more and more. Life gain is the value loop that you exploit for an outlet that is unrelated to life gain, whereas life drain is both the value loop and the outlet, because life drain can just win you the game itself.
Correct.
And so that's why I think they should actually, I think 2 years ago, I would agree these are the exact same archetype. I think we're beginning to see a bifurcation, and I think it is going to get steeper. And I personally like life gain with every new card they print for it.
Yeah, and especially now that life is being a resource not used for life drain, it's used for other things, kind of like energy in a way. Totally agree with that. Yeah, we can separate those two. Would you like to start with life gain?
Yes, I would love to start with life gain.
Team me up, Dad. Where are we going with this?
Team me up, father. I think it's bracket 2. And I'm gonna be biased as fuck as I say this. I think it's bracket 2 because of what I saw out of the Baitor precon, which is that when it was unedited precons, this thing looked like a fucking house. It looked so grindy, so resilient. Their life total kept yo-yoing back up. It was hard to take them out. And then as soon as we did upgrades, that deck looked like a wet fart at recess, man. It was awful. And then if we go life drain, I actually think that one wants to be in bracket 3. I think you have more fun when you can really juice it versus bracket 2 having to, like, oh my god, the coolest life drain deck I ever saw. It was I think it was Shizo.
Please don't say
commander.
Dina.
No,
Okay,
it was
I
not
was like,
Dina.
please don't say Dina.
Yeah, it was Sheree, Shizo's caretaker.
Yes.
Which was kind of played aristocrat-y because it was doing sacrifice stuff, but the main outlet was doing non-infinite life gain loops with a couple little creatures that Sheree could keep bringing back. And that one really benefited from having the tools to go a little faster, get the top end a little bit higher. And I think in bracket 2, it would have had to restrain itself so much that it would have felt like it would have just gotten run over by a Gishath.
Totally. I'm thinking a little bit more along the lines that Marty the Goat is here in your Twitch chat, which is Cabal, Council of Allocation, and Yistola. I think Cabal is the best representation of life drain other than like Veto. But Veto is normally just an outlet for a combo, as we've spoken about.
Gray is a guy. Gray Merchant of Asphodel is in fact a fucking card. We are focused. We are optimized around this plan. We are going to have very few, if any, missteps. We're going to have very few, if any, funny business cards. Whereas life gain, you get some funny business. Chaos.
Okay, let's define it. It's actually way easier to define than you think. Decks that do not know the outcome of their shenanigans. Ones that are playing planar chaos and other effects that constantly warp, meaning I like to call this effect the warp effect. It means a permanent is shuffled into the library and then you get a free one off the top. Like warping effects like that are in this. A lot of coin flip decks that are completely non-engine or combo based or varied. I think my most fun is with this is Possibility Storm, obviously Lurking Predators, and then there's one more. I think it's Sunbird's Invocation.
And I do think there is a difference we should point out between having one of these cards and having a deck be entirely about these cards. Because you can have stuff like that and have... Let me look at the specific wording on Sunbirds just to make sure I don't put my foot in my mouth. Like, Sunbirds can just be a very greedy value aggregator. Like, that's not right. That's not just because you have this in a deck that has red in it does not mean that you are playing a chaos deck. But if your deck is all about, I don't ever want to straight up remove something, I only want to chaos warp it, I only want to Guff Rewrites History it, something along those lines, then we can talk about this is a chaos deck.
Yeah, and also the warping effects often aren't just things that you're hitting your opponents with. It's something you're hitting yourself with to see what ends up happening. A lot of fun. My favorite chaos deck is Usuri and then Blim. Usuri Fortune's Flame.
Oh, Usuri. That's not chaos, you dumb motherfucker.
I feel like
that's a gambling addiction. If I was gonna put it in a bracket,
I think it plays best at 2 because at 3 I think you're just annoying the table. It's not what they were there to play with. Yeah,
at 3, people showed up with a well-defined game plan, and Chaos is turning that into, well, let's see what's on the top of your deck. And I was looking at bracket 1, but I think it gets locked out of bracket 1 too, because I think if you bring anything, if you're doing Chaos, you want things that you can flip into that are exciting. If you bring anything that good, the thing you brought is probably not applicable for bracket 1 anymore.
Yes. Yeah, it needs to be somewhat parasitic, but not to the point where it's boring. And I think you can speak mostly to this one, is Pillow Fort.
God, do I hate Pillow Fort. I mean, this is one where it should be going the path of Life Drain, where it should not even be its own archetype. It should be the defensive strategy surrounding a different archetype, like a way to win in a different way. Even Evil Dead is saying this isn't an archetype because not interacting is not a strategy. Tell that to all the motherfuckers with Pramicon decks on EDH Rec. Like, this is one where it should not be an archetype, and yet people continuously try to force this into being an archetype and say, oh, this is my Pillow Fort deck, and they're the ones that get all the Reddit threads made about them. So for Pillow Fort, I think this has to get locked in at 3 pretty easily, mainly because any reasonable Pillow Fort deck should be playing some type of combo. It just shouldn't be playing a very good combo. If you're playing a very good combo, you don't have to dodge damage because nobody can kill you fast enough in most realistic situations.
I really do feel like on some level, the Professor's hatred of so many Pillow Fort decks is synonymous with this channel at this point. And I'm almost leaning into this being bracket 4, but it would just never survive.
It just get eaten alive, because then they're just like, I don't even want to attack you, bro. Anyway, does Tassiger resolve?
So let's talk about non-deterministic Storm.
My beloved.
Yeah.
My beloved.
Exactly. I want to hear it.
Okay, so
where is it the most fun?
The place where I play the least, which is bracket 4 CDH. You want all the shit to avoid bricking. You want all the gas to be able to try to go off quickly. I've tried to make Spellslinger verging on Storm decks for bracket 2 and bracket 3. The problem I always run into is you take up so much clock time, even if you're practiced. And at bracket 2, bracket 3, because people aren't trying to win, they disengage from your turn. Like in CEDH, people will kind of stay in it because they want to look for like, okay, where can I fuck you? Because I have interaction. Where can I stop this and still try to win the game? Bracket 2, bracket 3, they just like, oh, you're doing a Storm thing? Wake me up when you're done and tell me if you won or not. And so you lose, like, you not only lose out, you turn off a ton of the social benefits of the game when you are storming off in bracket 2 and bracket 3. But in bracket 4, bracket 5, you have all the juice for it. People are actually going to try to interrupt you, which, like, storming into no resistance is no fun. It's no fun. I can do that in the Moxfield playtester. Who gives a fuck?
I'm so happy you bring that up. So if you guys like non-deterministic Storm, you would love CEDH. I am gonna praise Ral. Ral is so much fun. One of my friends is one of the most accomplished pilots on it. We were testing last night for an upcoming 10K tournament. He got interacted with 12 times in a 45 spell stack storm turn, and he had to sit there and math everything out and figure out what is the best thing to play that gives him the best advantage while it being non-deterministic. And it was freaking tastic. He ended up barely losing at the end, but he still had a lot of fun trying to solve that that parabola. And we obviously have all the Krark decks that it's not gambling in CDH because we've made so many copies of them. We know it's going to resolve, unless you're insanely unlucky.
It's gambling, but you're the house.
Very good one. And not only that, Displacer Kitten's a card, and that makes non-deterministic storm so much fun.
So I think bracket 4 and CEDH, it's probably, you know what, I'm going to take it off bracket 4 because bracket 4 is CEDH, but motherfuckers don't bring interaction. And so
yes, exactly.
It's better.
And that's not fun for the storm player.
Yeah, it's better in CEDH where you are very confident. I'm going to have to fight through interaction. And if I get there, I was both lucky and I earned it. You separated equipment focused and Voltron, you crazy son of a bitch. What's going on in there? What's going on in there?
That was specifically a distinction made within Moxfield and EDH Rec that the point was its decks focused on equipment and like giving them to different creatures, not about your commander. And I don't know if that's a valid thing or not.
It was
there.
It is now. So everybody who did it before Final Fantasy dropped was coping and seething. I fully typed Boros Sephiroth indescribable, but it's Boros Sephiroth. It's this guy, fallen hero.
He's not real. He can't hurt you.
He's real. He turns your modified creatures into 7/5. So that's actually like you go wide with equipment. Like Naya Cloud is kind of on this, and yet people continue to Voltron Cloud. Boros Sephiroth, you get wide on equipment, so you use like bad living weapon for Mirrodin, and then you get a big wide board of 7/5s. That is actually equipment matters, but it's not go wide tokens, even though you end up with this like battle line army. And so like Sephiroth, like because with equipment matters, a core premise of your deck is, what if I played a thing that did absolutely nothing until I paid twice as much mana? Those benefit from being at slower tables where you get to go like, look at my cool sword. It is nothing right now, but if you give me just 2 more turns, I swear.
And none of the cards that allow you to cheat these onto your creatures are on the Game Changers list, so bracket 2 is perfectly reasonable for you to still be strong. Do we even want to legitimize combat tricks? Is that something we...
No, because that's not even an archetype. That's like 10... That's 1 million people with a Zata list, and then 20 people with a Feather list, and nobody else is fucking doing it. And they're really doing... Like, Zata is deterministic storm, quite frankly.
And not only that, if it's about the only combat tricking your commander, it just feels like really bad Voltron.
Horrible Voltron. Yeah, so I do think those are just like 2 standout commanders.
There's 2 people peddling this really hard at the podium. They're really wanting it to be something worth having a conversation about.
Speaking of list hexed, let's talk about Spellslinger next.
There we go.
There's the segue.
Let's make this perfectly clear. Spellslinger is about getting it builds value from casting a lot of instant and sorceries, not storming off. It's just that when cast, big value. So the best thing is Calamax the Stormsire. If we're talking about Spellslinger, that is the best commander for what we're defining this as.
I disagree.
Really?
I think he is currently getting his shit run, particularly in casual, by Kuja.
I don't know Kuja.
The Rakdos Twink Lord. He makes you mini gutter snipes and then swaps into a damage doubler. And I think this is the most like, I just want to play lots of instants and sorceries and have shit kind of work out. He's doing it.
I am feeling it now, Mr. Krabs.
I
am feeling it.
You flip this motherfucker, like a couple turns go by, you flip him. Every instant or sorcery you put on the stack represents 6 damage to every player with no other cards. You don't have to play Gutter Snipe. You don't have to play Firebrand Archer. You don't have to do any of the tricky shit the Spellslinger players have been doing for the last 10 years to try to convert to a game win. He just says like, oh, you cast Night's Whisper, kill a guy. This is one of the first bracket 2 Spellslingers I really like because most of the
Yeah.
time, Spellslinger means you are at least kind of storming, historically.
Yeah.
But with Kuja, this can genuinely just be like, I don't know, man. Shadow Wizard Money Gang, we love casting spells, and you will
absolutely.
collateral the table. Like, you don't even have to do Wizardkin. Like, you can. That's the thing, is everybody goes like, oh my god, if you did this, you would maximize it so well. His ability is so good in the command zone, you get to do whatever you want. I think every Spellslinger but Kuja wants to be bracket 3. I think Kuja is just the first one that's actually going to feel nice in bracket 2.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'd say it lives in bracket 3, but you can easily notch it down for your family friendly gatherings. Nothing wrong with that either. We're going into mid-range.
Let's talk about mid-range.
Mid-range is one of the most, you sat down for a full meal and it's 5 courses and they're bringing it out in small itty bitty portions. That's a mid-range meal. It's not that you have a variety on your plate. You are going to be slowly and purposefully enjoying every little itty bitty piece of this. And that's something that takes genuine effort and like something that you have to like intentionally do. And so mid-range lists know for a fact that this game is not ending soon and they're going to enjoy like being acidic off of that.
They're going to tease it out. They're going to savor the moment.
I think it's like a minimum bracket 4, but I think the place for mid-range is CDH. I think that's where it lives. It will have the most fun.
I would agree with that. I think you get to draw the most cards because people are going to sort of moan the least about it, and and you get to leverage the most cards because you get to play all the broken shit.
Let's talk stacks. Let's just
another
have a horrible time.
No, fuck you. Another archetype that I love and is quickly and immediately slammed into CEDH in my mind. Because now I've had
it's not CDH for sure. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think I want it to be. What Stax wants to do is create a puzzle for people to solve that it thinks it can solve faster. It wants to stop you from storming off. It wants to stop you from tutoring. And then it wants to try to get out from under its own effects in a way that can win the game before you can, which is super
100%.
fun. And when you look at like bracket 2 and bracket 3, it's difficult to make puzzles for children. Every dungeon master knows what I'm talking about. It's difficult to make universal puzzles for 8-year-olds. And then the issue on the other side is that Stax is quite bad. Or it's very hard to pilot, it's very hard to build for because so much meta knowledge is necessary. Like the most often outcome of a Stax deck is not you win, it's you accidentally king make a different deck.
What bracket 4 is trying to do more than anything is power out a strategy that it really loved that wasn't strong enough for CDH and normally relies on the commander as an outlet. And so often you can attack at the same angle. Bracket 4, I think, is the most fun you will have. I have no clue on God's green earth what bracket this functions best at. I just think it will be the most fun at bracket 4.
So my only concern about having fun with it at bracket 4 and why I really like to do it at bracket 3 is bracket 4 can win so out of nowhere because you still have some people who are just playing like turbo at bracket 4. Like their pet deck is just some turbo combo.
But that's any strategy at bracket 4, right? Any bracket 4.
Right, that's what I'm saying is I think theft has more fun when it has more time.
Yeah.
And so that makes me favor bracket 3 over because in aggregate, you're going to have more time to set up your theft engine. You're going to have more time to cherish and utilize the things you have robbed. I do think it's more each individual theft, I will say, more viscerally satisfying at bracket 4. Much higher chance you have ruined that person's day with the theft.
I'll take your cards like your ex took the house.
Oh my God, that's good grime, Kydro. But that's going to be it for today. Go check out DefCat on YouTube. Check out Playing with Power on YouTube. Are there other platforms, Mr. Cat? What other platforms, Mr. Cat?
I'm not on others at the moment. I'm
on YouTube. Check him out.
Figure out the algorithm.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Goodbye, everybody.